Okay, so well, after my mom went to visit a center in the Netherlands for her like flu-related symptoms, she had a really great experience, and she only spent 4 hours, and driving back, like she didn't have to rest in the car, and her energy was back, and it stayed there like after 4 hours in the system. All the
Yeah, because
fatigue.
you were saying that on the way there, before we
Yeah.
pressed record, you were saying on the way there, your mom had to take two naps during that drive.
Yeah, it was a 2.5 hour drive, and she had to take two naps and like stop by the side of the road because she was so exhausted, and she was dealing with the aftermath of a flu, and that kept her really fatigued and low energy, and she was sweating like going up a few flights of stairs, and yeah, and all that like ended after her first visit, and she said, "Aarti, you have to try this, like and I was quite apprehensive because I had tried, everything in the last 20 years. And then she basically invited me and said, "Come, let's go." And I didn't read anything about it. I didn't watch, a single video. I really had no idea what it was. I only saw a picture on the website of the center. I was like, computers, whatever. So we went, and I walked into the room and saw all these monitors, and I thought, oh my God, like this looks like my mom is a bit of like a health tourist, I call her. Like she's open to try like new things, and she's, on Telegram and like, following all these things. And I was like, okay, right, like this looks like a real scam. Like and but I said, now I'm here, and so I sat down in the chair and closed my eyes, and it didn't even take 5 minutes, and suddenly I felt like the entire room was filled with light particles. Like I could see through my closed eyes, I could see light particles everywhere, and I felt like they were penetrating my body, like they were going everywhere into my cells. And I remember I felt like, oh my God, like where have you been? I feel like I've looked for you my entire life. Like I've been searching for this my entire life. And um yeah, it felt like bliss. I felt like coming home. It felt like nothing I've experienced before. It was like my enlightenment moment or something. And I was just bathing, and it was for about maybe half an hour, 40 minutes. And then the energy started working on different parts of my body, and um, and also my brain and my neck and my intestines and so on. Yeah, and then we drove home, and I could really like not really speak like my experience. Uh, uh, but on the drive home, I said to my husband, I think this is it. Like this is what I want to do. I want to open a center like this, like because I want to have this like close to me, because I feel like I never need a doctor again if I have this, and it would be so great, like this, more people need to see this. And then I came home, and then the doubts kind of came in. I was like, well, what was this, and will this last? And I felt, well, even for this 30 minutes of bliss, it was worth the trip for sure. But I felt really deeply nourished, like on a cell level. I felt deeply nourished in a way that I had not known, like since my childhood, really. Um, it was not even like, feeling like, oh wow, I could uproot like trees or something. It was more like this deep feeling of like, yeah, you're just nourished on a cellular level. And my my health started to improve, or also like at the same time I felt the biggest shift was really in my mind. So it was like my hemispheres were completely repatterned or something, because I felt I had access to resources inside of me to deal with whatever was happening that I didn't have before. Like I was in a generally much more relaxed, calm place. Um, Whatever symptoms I had, they didn't bother me as much, and I was generally much more uplifted. Like I just felt more positive, um, and that lasted like this, and it actually continued, like this kind of repatterning of my mind continued. And then we went for a second visit a month later. So I spent 4 hours. A month later, we went for another 4 hours because we had a family vacation planned. And um, my symptoms were such that whenever I traveled, I was usually sick half of the time I went anywhere because there was different food, different water, the stress of traveling, time difference, whatever. It was usually really, I loved traveling, but it was always, stressful. And so a few days after the second visit, we flew to Sicily for a vacation, and it was the first vacation ever like that I wasn't sick. You know, like I spent an entire 2 weeks with the family doing trips every day, and and it's still a little miracle to me. you know, I didn't need any medication on the trip, and yeah, by that time I had already applied to open my own center, and now we're a year and a half later. Yeah, and I would never have had the energy to open my own center, or like think of even like creating my own business. I was um, in a fairly stable, totally different field of work, safely employed, to basically feed my kids. I was a single mom for a while, and I moved continents, and so I had to have a stable income. Um, but now, like literally in the past year and a half since my first visit, my entire life changed completely, and I feel like I'm much closer to like who I was meant to be and what I was meant to do in this world. And I'll be forever, ever, ever grateful to Dr. Sandra and like the family. Yeah, because they have been able to, like, they allowed me to really, um, it's like pop open this the potential and what it is that I really came here for. And it was fascinating because of course, after I visited, I watched the videos, right? And I heard Dr. Sandra describe the system as like the cosmic light socket that plugs you back, in, and the light, that goes into the set. And like, this is insane. Like, I experienced exactly how she describes the system without knowing anything about it. Like, and for me, that was all the proof I needed, that was real, right?
Yeah, total
Yeah.
confirmation. Exactly. I love your story. I thank you so much. I mean, we were in this natural conversation before, and then you started your story, and I said, Aarti, pause. We need to record this. And I will love to share it with your permission with my community in our newsletter, if that's okay.
Sure.
Because
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, it's brilliant, and I love that. I mean, we have people coming into our system that know nothing about it at all. It might be an older woman in her 70s or even 80s that, her child has brought her to the system because they've heard of what we do. They believe it. Maybe they haven't even tried it yet, but they fully believe it, they understand it, and they bring in their mama. And we've seen this time and time again where these women and or men will come in and they'll sit down for the first session, and within minutes or not even the first hour, because they'll tell us after they come out of their first 2 hour session, in essence, what you described in their own way. We've seen these people see saints before them, describe God, describe, these spiritual connections. And one lady said She could see, I'm getting goosebumps as I say this. She could see all the prayers that she normally recites. She said I would close my eyes and I would just see the prayers. And
Wow.
yeah, it's really beautiful. They might not have spent time in the natural healing world at all. You said you spent 20 years trying everything. So imagine someone just literally coming from a village or coming from the middle of the city from their regular life, morning to night, taking care of their family with no idea of anything alternative. And then they come into this system, like you described, with the screens and the computers and the lights, thinking, where has my child brought me? And the sense of peace that they feel and the relaxation, and oh, wow, my pain has disappeared. Or these experiences are just, I wish I had them all on video. But
I
you
know.
and you really can't, because to intervene in that moment after the person has had their experience, I just love sitting there. Like we were talking
I
before,
know.
we spend time, right? We spend time with
Hmm.
people, get to know them, and because you and I have had both deep experiences personally with the system, so we know what can happen in there. And so when someone is trying it for the first time or second time or 10th time and they have these deeply profound experiences, wow, those moments are the most cherished, I find.
Yeah, you get so much in return, right? Like that's the thing. Like that's what I don't know. That's like I get a lot of energy from like just being with the people and
Mm.
especially in the room. And this is like it's so deeply nourishing, right? To connect.